I've decided that I want to play more Cities Skylines. That's probably obvious because of the thumbnail, the title of the video, and what we're looking at right now. It's Cities Skylines, the first one. But I have a few ideas, and I really want to bring them together. Probably not just in this episode, it might be over the course of a couple of episodes, but I'm actually really enjoying playing this game again, so we're gonna just ride it out while it lasts and see how things go. Now, towards the end of the last episode, I mentioned that I wanted to build a cargo airport, so I've gone ahead and cleared out some of this space, and I've already painted in an area for that cargo airport. I was thinking that I might share some of the taxiways and the runway for the international airport that we have over here, but this gets kind of busy sometimes. We have 4 planes in the ground here. We have one that's just touched down. I think throwing cargo in there might be a bad idea, especially since, well, traffic wouldn't be going through here, but it would just cause traffic on the ground in and around the airport, and I don't really want that. So in effect, we're gonna have 2 airports here, which might be weird. I think it's definitely gonna be weird, especially since the planes are sort of going to be crossing over each other as they go to land or take off or whatever, because my runway is going to go down along the train tracks here. But I want to do this. I think it'll be interesting. I think it'll look kind of cool. So let's go ahead and get started with that runway, which, like I said, is pretty much just going to go along the train tracks. Now, the direction of this thing, I'm thinking I'm going to go here. I think we're going to start here and bring it the entire way across here. We'll turn off those guidelines and bring it to, do I want to go there? Do I want to push right in that way? I think I'm going to go there is what I'm going to do. And that's going to be the length of the runway for these cargo planes. We also have a bunch of fallen trees and a couple of trees still in here. So very quickly, let's grab all trees and all props in this space and just get rid of every single one of them, because I do not want any trees or props in that area. I almost grabbed the ones from the little train station that we built last time, but I just want to make sure all of those fallen trees are getting cleared out of here. We have some on the train tracks as well, because it turns out that I forgot how anarchy works. I then remembered that I'm pretty sure in here we have toggle collisions off. So that's probably part of what it was. There were a couple of comments pointed that out as well, but that's going to be our runway. And for everything else, I kind of want the terminal to be in line with the train station, which by the looks of it is a little bit higher up than the ground here, but that's not the end of the world. I'm not really too sure how I'm going to do this or how I'm going to get traffic over there, but we'll figure it out. What I do need to do is I need to come off of here with a road that is preferably on the ground. And I'm just going to do this for the time being. That is at a different height to everything else, but we'll make it work. That's what Move It's for, and it's going to make life a little bit easier a little bit later on. So this is our cargo airport terminal. I want to swing this thing around, and I basically want it like sort of like this. I want it to be relatively central with this little block that we have going on though. So I think this road right now is 5 units across. I think if we did 6, I think 6 units across, that looks relatively central. So I'm kind of willing to allow that. I just wonder, do I want to make it closer to the train tracks? Because that is an option that we have, and that is something we can do. I think I might go a little bit closer is what we're going to do. So we'll go for 6 units right about there. And I do think that looks a little bit better. Now, something that we can do using, I want to say the network multi-tool, is we can go in there and actually unlock this road from the building. So if I wanted to, I could swap this out for a road to the median, so traffic has to go a certain way. I could use one-way roads, which I'm kind of inclined to do, but that's all going to be stuff for a little bit later on, because as I've talked about, the whole point of doing this was pretty much to put one of these guys in there, an airport cargo train station. So this thing could live right about there, for example, which is a pretty decent spot, if I do say so myself, and we can just connect it out to the existing train tracks. What we can also do is go in here and start playing around with some of the cargo roads. I don't remember exactly where we find them. There we go. We can extend this guy for one, which I think is going to be a pretty good idea, even if the zoning's a bit weird. We could extend these guys out if I wanted to, which I don't really think I need to, so I'm probably not going to. But the reason I would extend this one is because then I can put some of these guys in. These are the cargo aircraft stands. So for example, one right there, and we could do one right about there. We could do one right about here. But what I'm thinking I might do is I might see about getting another one of the cargo airport cargo train stations. I wonder if one of those in here would be an idea. Now, I'm not 100% sure about this. I don't know if it is a good idea, but I don't hate the idea either. Also, can I grab that node? I can't. If I separate that road from the building, okay, so that's unlocked. That's unlocked. That's already unlocked because we just placed it. Can I now grab that node? Is that a thing that it's going to let me do? So nodes, segments, I don't know that I can, which is weird. I can select, if I just say, give me everything. I don't know if I can grab that node, unfortunately, which yeah, by the looks of it, it's just going to grab the building. That's a little bit unfortunate. I was really hoping I could shuffle that down, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and just get rid of this guy. In fact, you know what? We'll just keep it. And we will just do another section of cargo trains. I know that's on the road, but I'm sort of okay with that. We can use some of the airport curtain stuff, concrete curtains to align everything, but this is fine. What I'll do is just move this over a little bit. Something like, let's just move it. You know what? Let's just move it until the grass just starts to disappear on both ends of things, until those little dividing lines kind of go away. So roughly there. And roughly there as well. We'll do the same with this one. So right about there and right about there as well is going to be good enough for me. That's probably going to be a little bit too much in terms of cargo train capacity, but it's not the end of the world. I think I'd rather have a little bit too much than too little. So we'll play around with it and we'll see what we can do. We'll go ahead and bring this guy out to about here. We'll bulldoze you. And I'm just going to use this as a means to line this all up so that we have those. That's not what I wanted to do. So that we have those nicely lined up there. So those roads should be, yep, 90 degrees from each other, which is fantastic. That's probably a little much. I'm going to say that that's definitely a little bit much, but I think I'm going to allow it. That's going to give us 4 platforms for, well, actually it gives us 8 technically, because we got trains. Yeah, gives us room for 8 trains to be parked in here, which is way more than we're going to need, but it looks good. And that's kind of what I want. I'm almost wondering, should I flip this one around so that they're back? I think I'm going to do that. I think that would look better. So this guy gets flipped around and we just shuffle it right down here. And I don't know if they are perfectly in line, but I think that's probably good enough. We'll push them together like this. There is a little bit of a gap between them, which I don't love. But again, we can probably fix that either by shuffling them down further, which again, I'm sort of okay with. And I think I'll use the fences to see if they're lined up. So right about there seems perfectly fine to me. So yeah, we'll have them back to back, meaning that I'm going to need a road that comes off the end here. And then for the trains themselves, I'm going to try and get something that works really nicely here. So I want 21 by 21 on that bend. Obviously going to need a little bit of node editing there. This one's 24. And can I do 24 there? I absolutely can. So that one actually, that one definitely works a bit better. This one's a bit messy and that's okay. I actually probably should have went for the lower one on that as well. So let's grab you. That's going to give us 25 roughly. So 25 by 25 is this, which again works okay. We'll go 10 units here and we'll try and do sort of a 10 by 10 on this. A 10 by 9 is fine. Same thing here. We'll sort of go for the 10 by 10 on this one. And then, like I said, it's kind of a case of going in with the node controller and seeing if we can tidy this all up a little bit, which I'm hoping that we can. So if I just drag all of these back a little bit, they get a little messy sometimes, but I'm kind of okay with that. And then for this guy, this might be slightly trickier, but I'm hoping I can get away with it. Something like this. I don't know if that's actually, I don't think that's going to play as nicely. What I might need to do is use move it just to, actually, is it this guy to remove a node? I think it is the network multi-tool to remove that node right there. So click to remove. There we go. I'm going to remove this node as well. And then I think a little bit of move it. If I just shuffle this over to about there, that's kind of what I want. And then we can use this to hopefully shuffle this back until, is it going to give me what I'm looking for, which is just the sand underneath there when everything sort of comes together. So something, ooh, there's a little, is there a spot in there what's going to happen? I don't think there is. Ooh, nearly. And even though it's less than perfect, I think this will nicely do the job. We have some connections that go in here. They've been moved around a little bit, so they're not quite perfect curves, but they work, and that's pretty much what I'm looking for. It doesn't need to be perfect. It's good enough in this case. Now, when it comes to this runway and the taxiways around here, I'm trying to figure out what exactly I want to do with it because I don't really have a solid idea. I've ever so slightly thrown out this grand scheme that I had to make this all sort of interesting, and I'm sort of just eyeballing this whole thing now. I wasn't originally planning on putting taxiways across here, and I don't know that I want to because I don't know that I like that. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it is very, very close to the runway. So I think what we'll do is we'll just get started very simply by connecting some taxiways to the runway. So we'll come off 10 units. We'll go the entire way along. We'll go on by about 10 units. So flip you around. And again, that doesn't really leave us with a lot of space, which, I mean, arguably that's fine. If I wanted to, I could probably put some aircraft stands over here, which would be interesting. I could probably put some sort of down here as well, but I don't know that I want to do that. Although it would give more purpose to this road, which might actually look kind of cool. So you know what? Let's give it a test. We're gonna stick with this improvising thing that I got going on. So if I put a road, oh man, do I want to put a road right there? Is that a thing I want to do? I feel like that's a thing I want to do. I think a road right along there is kind of cool. We can bring it up to about here. And then somehow I need to get a satisfying curve on this whole thing. So this is going to come out to about that spot. We'll bring a curve out here. We'll see if I can connect it all together. I'm really hoping I can because I think it could look interesting. So that looks to be our spot. That's 180, 180. That is actually okay. I actually don't mind that. I don't know if we're going to get aircraft stands on this road in a satisfying way, but I don't mind that. This one might be a bit close. This one definitely might be a bit close, but I don't mind that. Let's get rid of you. And let's see. Can I get some stands down here in a way that's going to be sort of satisfying to look at? I sort of can. Okay, we might be onto something here. Okay, so I might have gotten slightly carried away in laying this whole thing out, but I like how it looks. And like I said, it is a little bit different to what I'd originally planned, but we have some nice sort of sweeping curves for the taxiways. We've got some hangars. I've put some planes inside the hangars as well, just because I figure there should be some parked planes out here. And I do want to do a few more of those. So what I'm going to do is just place one there and we'll just move it into this hangar. It does come with some cargo, which is honestly totally fine. We're just going to move it to right about there. I think looks pretty good. The tail sticking out is pretty good. I think that looks the part. And we do have a hangar over here. I think I want to do exactly the same thing. So we'll go ahead. We'll put a plane right about there and we'll just use move it to put it right about there as well. So again, we have a plane kind of parked in a hangar for whatever reason. It's there. It looks cool. I like how it is. And at this point, I just need to connect this to my road network and it will work. I just don't know how I'm going to do that yet. We do have this whole space down here. I could let traffic sort of come in, go down, sort of across here. We could play around with that idea. I do have to remember we have left-hand drive traffic, so it might make sense to push traffic this way. I don't know about that. I'm also considering doing a little bit of industry out here or some warehouses or something like that so that we can kind of fill some of this space because we do have these roads along here. We could do these little guys if I wanted to. We could probably do some larger warehouses as well. I could do one with a train that goes into it. I don't think we'll do that, but we could. I think honestly some warehouses along here would also kind of make sense. So let's have a look and see where we can get ourselves an industrial road going in here. So that's going to be our snapping point, which is honestly totally fine. We'll bring a road out there. And at this end of things, that's going to be our snapping point, which again is totally fine. We can just go ahead and sort of connect this all together and see how it goes. Now, I will say I like the idea of this being a one-way road. I think that kind of makes sense. I think it could be a 2-lane, one-way small industrial road. So we're going to go ahead and unlock this entire thing. And then we're going to go ahead and swap it out for what is essentially going to be that industrial road that I want. So did I accidentally, have I not unlocked the road? It is unlocked. Wait, that one is unlocked, unlocked, and unlocked. I think I just missed the first one, which is fine, or double clicked it, whatever happened. We'll go ahead and flip it like this. That's going to be one way. That's going to be one way. And then basically I just need to create some kind of way in here, which is going to be a bit of a problem. Now, in saying that, it's going to be relatively easy at this end because we have, you know, this train line that doesn't really go anywhere. So we'll go something like, I don't know, we'll go 30 units. We'll come down and we'll connect it somewhere like this. Obviously that one needs flipped around, but it'll be a connection something a bit like that, which is totally fine. And then what I'm going to do is actually extend this train line. So it looks like maybe some trains could park down here. It doesn't really matter what the reason is, but we're going to have some extended train lines. And I sort of like the idea of doing that again. I like the idea that we might have some extended train lines here as well. Now this is annoyingly going to go through a building there, but that's not the end of the world because I can go ahead and grab those nodes. We will grab only tracks and we'll just grab this top one. And we can just ever so slightly shift it up to about there. I think should be good. Yeah, that's perfect. And then I'm just going to connect it to the existing set of tracks. So it's just sort of an extra little section that happens to exist. So something like this, obviously going to have to mess around with the, with this junction because it's a little bit nasty looking. We'll square off the ends. We'll grab the dot. We'll drag it back to there. Do exactly the same thing here as well. And I think I'm going to have to get rid of this node, which I don't like doing, but it does make it a little easier. And then a little bit of move it on some segments should just get this to look the way I want it to look eventually. It's a little messy, it's a little tricky, but there we go. So that gives us a second bit of track, completely useless, completely for the looks and the aesthetics, but it just fills in the space. And maybe I do a little bit of industry here as well. We could do more warehouses if I wanted to. I don't know if I want to, but we could, and it might be nice. All right, so this absolute mess is what I'm thinking for the way in here. I've also forgot to get rid of the fence across the road, but this is basically what I'm thinking. It is just a bridge that goes up and over. I extended the corners to be a bit more smooth so that it's a little bit, you know, just a little bit easier to drive on, really. It looks a little bit better as well, I think. And I think really that's about all I can do. I don't want to do a tunnel. I think a tunnel would, I just don't think a tunnel would look right. So we'll stick with this sort of bridge thing. That's going to let traffic get in and do its thing. And I'm also hoping I can maybe, yeah, just do that. Just do that to smooth out that junction a little bit, make it look a little bit better. I don't know if that does look better, but it looks okay. If we do like a bendy junction, a stretch junction, we'll do the custom. I think the custom one's probably for the best. It looks all right, although this thing's pushed through the road again, which it keeps doing. I don't know why it keeps doing it, but I have to keep lowering it. But I like this. I think this looks good. We've got traffic sort of coming in here, and I'm not 100% sure is the fact that I have traffic driving straight to these things going to be a problem? So I don't I don't think I need these roads, and I'm gonna demolish them because I don't think I need them. I'm almost certain that what traffic should be doing is going like that through the cargo building. So that's what we want instead of anything else. Although in saying that, I'm not entirely against the idea of there being a little road right here so that we can have that warehouse. I think that's nice. I kind of like that. I want to bring it down a little bit further so traffic can still go to this warehouse. These warehouses here, I'm going to shuffle along a little bit and use to sort of fill that gap right there. I think that looks okay. And we can maybe go ahead and get ourselves another one of those for right at the end there. And I'm just going to say, I've just done random resources. So we'll do paper in that one. I think this guy is unique factory products, which is totally fine. And then the last thing I want to do is go into here, and I want to get myself this right here, which is the small airport apron. I want to put one there and one right about there just to cover that space. And that is essentially it. That is essentially what I'm looking for. Obviously, some landscaping is going to be needed. We might want to do a little something in here, but that's essentially what we're looking at for the cargo airport. I'm also thinking this road might need to be, do we have an asymmetrical road in City Skylines 1? I don't remember. We do. I should know that. I absolutely should know that. Do we have a small 4-lane road in City? We do. That's what I'm going to go for here. I think that's going to be for the best, honestly. That little 4-lane road there. Let traffic kind of get around and do its thing. We've got all of this cargo stuff going through the airport. We've got planes coming and going, which looks absolutely fantastic. We've got all this cargo going out here. I just don't know what this bit of road is for, so I'm going to get rid of it for now. And I'm going to bring this node right back to, actually just bulldoze it and move it to about there, I think. And that should be fine. So now we have this empty space, which I'm okay with. We could, like I said, probably do a bit of landscaping, make this thing look a bit better. But honestly, I like this. I think it looks cool. The traffic flowing around it is flowing around nicely. There is a lot of it, which I knew there was going to be, but hopefully we can make this work. If I need to connect it to this main road, I might. I'd prefer not to, but I might. So I suppose when it comes to detailing the rest of this space, I should probably start with some fences to sort of enclose the entire thing. So that's kind of what I'm going to be doing here. We'll bring a fence over like this. Obviously, that's not going to be staying on the road, but what I can do is sort of use that fence to more or less just enclose everything up to about there. What I can also do is come off of this spot to about there, and I can hopefully get something that's going to curve around this area really nicely as well, so that everything just flows. That's what I'm looking for. Everything on this to just flow around nicely. So can I get my guidelines, please? Road guidelines there. We're going to try and line these up, which apparently they don't want to do. Apparently they don't want to, that's in line. That looks good enough. That's all facing more or less the right way. Same thing here. I think that lines up sort of. Yeah, I'm sort of okay with that. We have some nodes in places I wouldn't like them to be, but I'm sort of okay with it. It kind of works. We'll just bring these down. And can I only grab fences and segments for the time being? Is that just a segment? It is. Can I make it look better? I guess that's probably about as good as it's going to be. I'm never going to look at it that closely. It doesn't matter. What I do want to do is bring a segment of fence just into the building here. I want to bring those couple of nodes back. I don't want to select the building. I just want the nodes. And I want to go to about there, to about there. And that, while I don't want it to connect to the building, I think I might just have it connect to the building. I think that might be easier rather than having that weird little gap right there. So something like that. Yes, it's still sort of overhanging, but honestly, that's fine. And that nicely encloses this space where I can do some landscaping and all of that good stuff. And it's basically going to be the same story down here. I think we're going to have to swap out at least this part of this fence for the airport one. And then this side, honestly, I think I can get away with a wooden one. while I was working on the fences, it seems like the post trucks are getting a little bit carried away over here. I do admittedly have 2 post sorting facilities, and we have a bus depot there as well, which is completely unrelated. But yeah, these guys are having some problems. They're definitely having some problems. And I think part of that is just the sheer number of people that are wanting to cross this road here. A lot of these guys coming over are going to slow down the traffic. So it might not be a bad idea to go look at this junction and say, do not cross there, because there's not really any need to. They can sort of walk around here and they can get over sort of this way. I don't want people crossing this junction whatsoever. I think that will speed things up a little bit. And if no one's crossing here, then potentially no one needs to cross here either, especially since there's a crossing down this way already that has traffic lights. So I think that's what we're going to do, is we're kind of going to go in and say, do not cross at any of those 3 intersections. They are going to need to cross here because we have got a path that sort of comes over here, but that's honestly okay. I'm not really too worried about that one. I'm just hoping that's going to help things flow that little bit better. We are allowing traffic into the intersections, even if the road ahead is full, which is probably for the best. And already this looks like it's flowing that little bit better as well. So I'm not really too worried about it, although I would like to have a look down here and just make sure that these guys are set up to basically allow traffic into all of these intersections, regardless of traffic being ahead. I'm also going to say no crossing there and no crossing there. No crossing there either. Crossing there is fine and crossing there is fine as well. So that should help that traffic get through. That's a bunch of intersections really close together, but now that crossing's been turned off and they can enter those junctions, we should be fine. As for all of this, I guess we just wait and see what happens. And as for all of this, I mean, I've moved. What are you doing? What are you what are you doing? Okay, that's fair enough. That's, yeah, interesting. I've moved a few of the planes around just to avoid collisions with the planes that are already coming in here. I've put a couple more parked planes out here just to fill in this sort of weird empty corner that was here before. And I've got some fences around the whole thing, including this little space down here where I added another track. So at this point, I want to do some landscaping. I just want to get some trees in here and make this thing look a little bit more interesting. So what I'm going to do, honestly, is just go around and sort of do a pass with this tree to start with, the horse chestnut. And I'm just going to fill in a bunch of sort of empty spaces away from the plains because we have a lot of those. And then I want to go in with the live oak tree because it's a little bit bigger and it just adds a little bit of variety. And my goal is to try and make this look a little, not overgrown, but just, I don't know. I don't know why there'd be this many sort of large trees this close to an airport, especially in behind all these warehouses, but I like doing this. It's me. I like the contrast. I like the juxtaposition. I like that sort of, just that look of all of this industry and all of these vehicles and just all of this movement and stuff going on. And then around all of that, you just have these giant trees that have just been here for however long they've been here. Reasonably, they might have been planted here, which would imply that this place has been here for quite some time. But regardless, I like doing this. And it does sort of tie it all together a little bit. I'm probably going to have to go around and do some stuff with bushes as well, just to sort of further bring it together. But I do really like doing this. And it's been a minute since I've gone around, even in City Skylines 2, I've not actually gone around and placed trees by hand like this ever since I started modding that game. So even though I have the line tool, I don't really feel like I need to touch it for this. I think sometimes it's very easy to get carried away with the mods and the options that we have. And that's something I saw in the comments on some of my City Skylines 2 stuff when I started using the mods, was that people almost didn't really want me to, because there was this worry that I am going to rely on them too much. And I think when I first started using mods in Cities 2, there was definitely this sense of like, man, this is it. I'm never going to place trees by hand again. And I haven't in Cities 2. I'm not going to lie, but I think this just looks bad. I don't know. It's just trees, man. I'm just placing trees. I've done nothing. Nothing about this is like, oh, look at that detailing, bro. Look at that. That's going in the subreddit. Like, none of this is, I don't know. There's just something fun about it. It brings me back. It brings me back to when, you know, line tools didn't exist. And when, you know, you'd have to place thousands upon thousands of trees by hand if you wanted to make like a farm or something like that. It really does. And I have such fond memories of Cities Skylines 1 and those days when you would have to just manually place 1,000 trees for sort of a cool looking farm. So it seems like this traffic problem is getting to be less of a problem. It's not backed up in here anymore. And I think part of that is because I've changed this guy to be an asymmetrical road, meaning some of the post trucks can now get into another lane if they're crossing straight over, which it seems like quite a few of them are, because it seems like quite a few of them are wanting to go and export some stuff, which is fine. I'm totally okay with that. That's sort of what this place is for. And it's kind of cool, actually, that we have post going out via train for the most part, or plane in some other cases. Now, I've also gone ahead and got some trees in and around this whole space. And honestly, I'm sort of okay with where it is. I think this is going to be a little bit of a less is more situation. I don't want to go crazy dense with this forest. I've got some sort of down here. We've got some in here. And I like these sort of more open patches. It's a little bit, you know, it's a little patchy here and there, kind of like my beard. So it does what I need it to do. Traffic gets around kind of nicely. I would be curious to see what would happen if I made this into a two-way system, but I would hazard a guess that this entire stretch of road over here would barely get used. All of the traffic would just sort of go in this way and then out the same way. So I think this one-way system, even though it's maybe a little longer than it needs to be, it kind of helps filter the traffic a little bit. And speaking of traffic filtering, this is almost cleared out, which is absolutely fantastic news. So hopefully it's going to be a case that I've managed to build a cargo airport that's not causing too many problems with traffic, except for down here. No, down here. Ooh, wait, no. This is less than ideal, but to be fair, it's all right. It's not the end of the, I mean, it works. It's honestly a cool looking airport. I don't love this bit anymore, but I'm happy with it. I'm also thinking, and I realized I mentioned this at the start of the episode, I want to get more train infrastructure into just the entire city. I have this idea of basically tearing out all of these buildings and putting one big central train station right on this avenue across from the Metro Plaza, because that's also across from the intercity bus terminal. So basically, we could have regional passenger trains coming in here, dropping people off in the middle of the city. They can get on a bus, they can get on a metro, they can walk to wherever they need to go, they can get a taxi, whatever it might be. I think that would be cool. It would mean getting rid of the Modern Technology Institute, but I think that's a price I'm willing to pay, to be completely honest. It might also cause traffic problems in here, but again, that's a price I'm willing to pay, because I think having a giant train station in here would be really cool. I'm also thinking we could try, and you know what? I might just go ahead and do this. Actually, I'm getting a lot of ideas, and I'm saying I'm thinking this, I'm thinking that, I'm thinking the other, but I'm not actually doing anything. And I sort of have this idea of bringing the train line sort of around, elevating it, and bringing it maybe over the top of this road. The only problem is we have these bridges here, and I don't know that I want the train lines to be higher than this bridge. But I don't want this bridge to go any higher because that's already kind of steep. So we might need to figure something else out. But I do want them going along over the top of a road, especially through here, because I think it would look really cool having some passenger trains going through there. I just don't know how I'm going to do it. I definitely don't want to put them underground. That's my one big thing, is they are not going underground because I like seeing them move around. So what we're going to do, we're not going to be building the train, well, we're not building the entire train network today, but I am going to just tear out these buildings. We're getting rid of the elementary school. We're getting rid of you. I could just use move it to do this. Why am I, why do things the tedious way when you can just do it the lazy way? Basically all of that. I want to grab the fences. I want to grab the trees. I want to just grab everything in here and I want to just delete it all. So all of that goes away. These guys are, I don't know what they were attached to. I can select them at the very least and delete them as well. So that's all gone. We've got some leftover bits of fence right there. We've got some leftover bits of fence down here as well. I don't think I had any bus lines that were stopping on those roads, which is perfectly fine by me. We'll clear out the zoning as well. And then what I'm looking for is this absolute chungus of a train station. The only problem is that it has a metro line underneath it, and I don't necessarily want to use it. But thankfully, the metro lines already going under this thing are lower than the metro line attached to the station, so that can just exist and be unused, really, is what we can do with that. We don't have to use it at all. Or if I wanted to be weird about it, I could move this line that's coming in this way through the old train station. Do I have multiple lines going through there? Because if I did, I could play around with that. I don't think I need to do it though. I think the whole point is going to be that you get off the metro here, you cross the street, you go into the train station. That's kind of the be all end all of the entire thing. Now, in terms of actually getting trains into this whole thing, I hadn't really thought that far ahead other than the part at which I said, you know, I kind of want to do the over the road thing. So I'm not really too sure how this is going to work, but we're going to figure it out. I think what we'll do is we are going to have to elevate this whole thing. We'll go to about 9 meters and we're going to say, I would like a connection across here. So I'm going to say 30, I'm going to say 34 up to 9 meters. And we're going to have to swap this entire thing out for an elevated section. And I think we're kind of going to look to do exactly that same thing the entire way across here. Although I do think this last one can go underground because I kind of like the idea of bringing a train line out down here somewhere, running it around the coast and somehow connecting it over to the seaside resort. I forgot that there are actually some new passenger train stations in City Skylines. If we go into the content creator pack section and we go to Railroads of Japan, we actually have some small elevated stations. They're not necessarily going to match perfectly, but we have a few different styles of train station that I think would look just fine out here. They are much smaller than the standard one. And I mean, they'll just look the part. I don't necessarily know how I'm going to do it. And yes, we already have metro coming out here, but I think trains would be lovely as well, especially going down along this river. It'll just be a little shot from here to there. It'll be completely pointless because, again, we have metro already doing that, but I'm willing to do that because I just think it'll look cool. Now, I have a bit of a decision to make. I don't know which of these tracks I want to cut through this space over a road because, and the reason that's important is because one of these might want to go down through the city, which I hadn't really considered. I'm not going to lie. That's something I hadn't really considered doing until this very second. I think we're going to say this track here, the second one, is going to be the one that goes through everything. So I need to bring this back up to, let's see, keep it at 9 meters. It's basically going to go this way. It's going to follow this road. But this track here, what I'm thinking I want to do is I want to bring it to right about there. And I want to bring it down this way. Obviously, we're not doing a 90-degree bend on a train track, but for the time being, I'm going to do that because it means I can sort of do this, right? I can punch it straight through these buildings, which is what I want to do. So that's the plan at the very least. What distance is this? That is 7 units. This is 8 units. So we are going to go from, hopefully I can get that little bit right there is what I'm looking for. So that is going to be the bend that we're looking for. So that is 8. Yep. So we are going to take out these guys and we are going to say we need collisions on for this, although it might not let me do it. This essentially is what I'm looking for. And yes, it looks a little silly. And yes, we have trees poking through it, but it's not the end of the world. And honestly, I'm actually kind of okay with that. It takes out minimal zoning. It's just one little strip. And I don't necessarily know how I feel about it going over that road. I don't know if that works or not. This bit's definitely too low. That bit's definitely, well, that bit's not actually all that bad. But long story short, I want to just continue that track the entire way down here because it can go over this road, through these buildings. I think it'll line up with this road as well, and we'll just bring it out down here somewhere. All right, so this train line is just going to terminate here for the time being, like I said, and it has been sort of sloped a little bit to flow through all of these buildings and over these roads just a little bit better. No idea where I'm going to connect it to, but that's fine. This one's kind of a similar story. There are no train lines over here right now, so what's likely going to happen is I'm probably going to just take a bit from this train line and sort of run it around the entire map and connect out to it at various points. If anything, that might require me to actually unlock all 81 tiles because it turns out this is the bottom of the original 25. There's a lot of room up here that I can play with, and I look forward to sort of bringing a train line down here across this way and sort of connecting out to it, but I need to figure out how I'm going to do that. And so that's what this little area is going to be. I'm going to have to take out these buildings here, which is a bit annoying. I'm going to have to take out probably all of them because this train line is going to cut straight through this block. So if we just go ahead and say we want to use this guy, I actually want to just grab it again because I'm not seeing my my tools there, which is, there we go. So this guy is just going to cut straight across, and that's honestly fine. It's going to push straight through to here. And this is kind of where I have a question. I don't think I can take it over this road. I just don't think that's going to be an option. I think what I'm going to have to do is bring this train down to ground level to go underneath these bridges. And then we can elevate it again on this side and sort of bring it parallel to this, this existing road. And then over, well, sort of curve it past this intersection and it can connect out to somewhere in the region. So it's going to dip down to ground level somewhere in here and then go back up to be elevated to go over all the highways. I don't know if it's a good idea, but it's going to look cool. And that's what's important. It's going to look interesting having, you know, actual trains cutting through this entire space. So in terms of where I'm going to drop it down, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out these buildings and I'm going to move this high capacity elementary school to the other side. I'm going to move these parking lots to the other side as well. And as much as it's going to be annoying having to do this, I'm going to take out a lot of these buildings. In fact, most, if not all of these buildings, except for that one, because it's one that I placed. And this is where the train is going to cut through. Some of that's going to be at ground level. Some of that's going to be elevated. But the idea is that it needs to be ground level going underneath here. So this goes to ground level. We're going to set it to ground level. We're just going to run straight through here. And I've got no idea if there's going to be enough room with that bridge. There sort of isn't. So that's not ideal, but we'll figure that out. This guy is going to run. It's going to go across that road. And it's probably going to go across, well, actually, in saying that, we can go to about there. We can get rid of this road completely. And this is where it's going to elevate again. So that's sort of the plan, essentially. We can get, if we go up to 9 meters with this guy, to about there, we can do 13 units on that side. On this side, I think we have a little bit less. Actually, no, we have exactly 13 on this side as well. So 13 units to get back up to 9 meters. That's very steep. That is very steep. We might want to reconsider that, but for now, that's what we're going to do. And so this is going to stretch over to here, which, yeah, that might need to be a bit higher, but that's fine. Same story here. We are going over the cryo preservatory, which is completely intentional. And this guy is just going to sort of, I don't know, punch out to about there. Now, obviously, I can add nodes to this, which I'm going to have to do. Obviously, we can slope this a little bit better, which is completely fine. But this is sort of the first draft of what I want to do with this whole thing. If I slope this now, is that any better? Not for that road. Definitely not for that road, but I can elevate this a little bit further, which I think is fine. And then if we sort of grab everything in between, so these guys, Again, we can slope it, and I think that's fine. Obviously, there's some issues with trees, and this is still a little bit steep, but that's fine for now. All right, so this honestly looks fine. I did use a little bit of network multi-tool to get this curve exactly right. Things are still a little bit steep here. They're still colliding with the bridge, but I don't think the trains themselves will, so I'm not super concerned about it. I'm kind of going to let that just sort of exist, I think. I probably will put some fences or some dense bushes alongside this path at some points, but I'm kind of okay with this for the time being. What I'm actually considering doing is bringing that connection that I talked about from over here sort of out this way, bridging across and just connecting around just to get some trains coming in here. I don't know if regional trains will actually go here. I don't know if that's a thing that they'll do. But at the very least, I could, in theory, run a train that goes all the way out and around to the airport and back so that we have some movement here, which I think would look really cool. So even though I said I wasn't going to do this today, I think I'm about set on the idea of at least getting something going here today because I think it would look really cool. So we're going to do this. We're going to turn off our guidelines. We're going to go 10 units there. That's a reasonable enough height. And we are going to take out just a couple of these trees. And I think I'm going to use the network multi-tool just to create a nice little connection there. And we can use the some of the buttons on the old keyboard to get a nice little curve there. That's maybe a bit extreme. That's that looks fine. I think, yeah, that looks all right. So it goes out, it curves around, it connects to this guy. I could have just done that with some of the tools in the game. I didn't need to use the network multi-tool, but I wanted to, so I did. Anyway, when it comes to the rest of this, it's going to be as simple, I think, as running this guy across there. We can take that down to ground level at some point, but I suppose what we should do is cut across here with some kind of bridge. So what we'll do is drop this down to 4 meters for the time being. And I'm just going to run this straight across. So straight to about there. I don't know if there's much of an incline on that. I really have no idea. We'll do 150 units, which is a lot. We can go in and we can grab all of those nodes and we can say, let's have it be level to this height, which means that side's lower, which is honestly okay. If anything, we could just raise it up so it's all the same height now. That way we don't have to worry too much about the terrain. So it doesn't look amazing. We can turn it into bridges, you know, proper looking bridges at some point, but this is going to be similar to the other ridiculous bridge here. I don't love it. In fact, I kind of hate it, but it's literally the only thing I can do other than snake it down a mountain. And I really don't feel like snaking some trains down mountains right now, so I'm not going to. And there we go. We have ourselves a train line that sort of snakes around all weirdly over here. It comes down, follows the highway, and does in fact go through the city to this station over here, which I happen to think is very cool. And I also figure means I can finally go in here and say, let's do a line from here all the way out to here for whatever reason. We don't need to do this, but we can do this. And that makes me very excited because it means we're going to see some trains. The first trains that we've actually got in all of Vanillaville. Now, in terms of the train that I want to use for this, I almost want to say the Railroads of Japan commuter train is probably the right pick here because it's going to look the most sort of like a subway style train. So we'll go for that. We'll go for kind of a nice blue color. And are we going to see a train here or is it going to be by the airport? I'm kind of hoping here because this is where the line started, but I'm starting to think it might be by the airport, which is not where the line started, but that's fine. Is that it? That's my train. Yeah, that looks amazing. That is such a good looking train. Oh man, that's going to look amazing going through the city. I'm actually really pleased with that. I don't know if we're going to see... Oh, what are you guys doing? Why are you all just stopped there? That's a little bit concerning. Can I just delete you? There we go. Is that going to get you moving? It doesn't look like it. Wait, you guys are stuck going out of the city. What if I just delete you then? Oh, there were a couple that were stuck together. Okay. Well, they're moving now, which is fantastic. I am going to smooth out this terrain as best I possibly can. We do have some weirdness going on here. What I was going to say was I don't know if we will have any regional passenger trains coming in here, because I know the game prefers, I think, to put them on like the first platform rather than the second one that I've done. But honestly, that's fine. It's not the end of the world. I can live with that. All right. So the last thing I want to do is go ahead and surround this area with some fences and get some detailing in here. Obviously, you might have noticed I've made a slight change here so that we can now have trains come in from way out there and go to this first platform. I'm hoping that we might see some regional trains and that might get us some people going through the station. But again, I'm kind of building this thing with the idea being that somewhere way down the line, we're going to eventually get a lot of people going through it. It's not going to be super popular right now, but the hope is that one day it will be. That's the goal here. That's the plan. Whether or not that works, we're going to have to wait and see, but that's definitely the hope. Now, what we'll do is just go ahead and surround this thing with a whole bunch of the good old standard park fence, which on this side, annoyingly, we have actually got some parking lots there. So I might have to play around a little bit with some of the, I wonder if we can use the airport's curtain things in here. These guys right here, the, not curtains, aprons. I absolutely can. Now, is that going to look weird? It doesn't really, actually. That just nicely sort of makes it look like you could drive right up in there, which is kind of what I want. So that's kind of what I'm going to do up to about there. This space is going to have some trees as well. This space is going to be relatively open, so that's fine. But that's all right. That's sort of what I'm looking for there. So what we'll do is start grabbing fences, and I want to basically move this so it's right in line with the edge of the existing fence on the building. And I guess what we want to do is sort of bring this guy right down to here as well. So it's right on the edge of that road. And then I think what I can do is bring this one right down to here as well. So it's right on the edge there. And I think I can select all of these. I'm still learning how to use things amazingly, and I can line them up. Yeah. So that's exactly what I'm looking for. I want to then bring this guy over. So it's basically right there. Same with this one, basically right about there. And we just grab everything in between and we say that we want to line them up. All right, so I've detailed this and I've made another decision, which is good or bad, depending on your opinion of my decisions. Frankly, in my opinion, it's a risky one and possibly a silly one, but I'm going to build another train station and I'm going to use one of the railroads of Japan stations. It's going to be elevated and it's basically going to live right about there because, I mean, it looks cool. I've never used it before, but it looks cool. But the reason I want to do that is because I want to bring the trains from here through this guy. I don't think I'm ever going to bridge across here. I don't think that's necessary. So we're kind of going to go through this station, and this is going to be a station that gets you out to the countryside eventually. So that's the idea. That's a thing that I've decided I'm going to do. So those bits of track can go. Those buildings can go. And then somehow I need to, well, I say I need to connect them together. I'm going to use obviously a little bit of network multi-tool to make this happen. We're going to go from there to there. And that's not really, it's not really what I'm looking for. It's definitely out there a little bit. I might have to do this slightly differently. This is definitely not, definitely not what I'm looking for. All right, let me build a little bit of track here first. This might help me out if we go to say there, right? So we'll go to there, and now we'll try a little bit of network multi-tool. That's not better. That is not better. You know, I might want to use this tool instead. Yeah. Still not really great. Gonna be honest. Maybe I should stop being so friggin' lazy and do a curve myself to start with. That might be a better idea. So we'll do 10. In fact, you know what? We'll go a little bit bigger. We'll do 12, and we'll do 12 here. And we'll see, that's probably gonna be better. I don't know if I like that as a curve though. I don't love that, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Can I now connect these together in a way that's going to be, I mean, I've seen worse. Oh, that is not what I'm looking for. I just need to bring this down until that loop goes away. There we go. Yeah, I don't love that. I think what we're probably just going to want to do is bring this all the way back and we'll sort of curve it this way. So let's see. I want to add a node in here. I did add some extra supports, but I'm going to add a node. So if we go in, we get our multi-tool, we say we want to add a node right about, say, I'm going to say there because I want to keep some of these buildings. Take this all out and then we create ourselves some kind of connection from here to there. Is that better? I want to say that it is, actually. I want to say that is better. So we'll just expand this until it looks even better. We're going to have that curve sort of going through there, which is honestly fine. I don't want that. I do want that. That looks much better. We'll allow it. We'll build it. And yeah, we're going to have to slope some of this as well, but that's not the end of the world. And there we go. Now, I'll be the first to say it. I don't love how high up this train line is. I do think it looks a little bit silly being that far off the ground, and it's not supported in any reasonable way right now, so that's something we might need to look into. But at the very least, we now have trains going along this line as well, which might actually get used. I'm not 100% sure. I think I did see someone going in there, but it should hopefully encourage some people to use this larger station, which no one is doing right now. We might also see some intercity trains heading out that way because it only has the one platform and it is connected to the region. So that's a distinct possibility. We might also, although I doubt it, see some people that hop on a train here and then hop on a train here to go to the airport. Again, I doubt that's going to happen because they'll probably just use the metro, but it's an option. And that's kind of exciting. That's what we're all about here, is giving people options and slowly filling in all these weird gaps that we have in the city. So we're getting a little carried away with some trains. These elevated tracks are definitely a sight to behold. Good Lord. They're really something. I don't know that I love those, but it's fine. It's totally fine. It looks cool, and that's what matters, right? That's what matters. All right, so progress has been made, and I think that's going to be enough progress for today. We have some people in here, and that's what I'm looking for. It's not a lot of people, but it's fine. There's 4 people in that train. That train can hold 680. So, yeah, we might want to look into a little bit more progress. We do have a regional train here, which is very exciting. It has 1 person on board. So again, it's progress. It's progress. The goal is to expand the train network out into the region and to connect it to a bunch of different things. So eventually, I'm sure people will want to use the trains. We can maybe build something out here, build something down here, connect it to this station, off to everything else. Eventually, I'm sure that train station is going to get some use. I've also built a little thing here to try and help this traffic out a little bit. I've also changed the priorities on these roads to hopefully help the traffic out a little bit, because I am sick of this tailback along this road. I honestly don't like this road to begin with. I really want to figure out something else to do with it, but for the time being, it's going to exist, basically. That's about all I've got to say on it. It's going to exist. I might connect it to this guy and sort of push it through this tunnel and around here, but this road's busy enough as it is. So that seems like it could be a really bad idea. That just seems like it wouldn't be a smart decision in the slightest, but it's something I'm definitely considering. I'm also going to square this off a little bit just to try and make it look better, which means I'm going to have to redo my fences for some of this as well. But that does, admittedly, it does look a little bit better. So let me just very quickly fix my fences, because apparently that matters when it comes to this nightmare of a junction. We'll bring the fence back like that. We'll get ourselves the segment right about here. And that seems fine. It's okay. This is a little slip road. It's got some priorities. It works. It gets all the traffic going to the left to go to the left a little bit quicker. Some of these guys are going to be held back for a while because this highway actually has priority over every other road in that area. But my hope is that is going to help to clear it out. So we will see. At some point that road's going, but for now, we're going to leave it alone. And speaking of leaving things alone, that's what we're going to be doing for today, because that's going to do us for today. I I actually really like how the airport's turned out. In hindsight, not hindsight, but whatever, zooming out and looking at it, it looks all right. It does what I needed it to do, and traffic in here has actually managed to start filtering through quite nicely. So the airport is doing what I wanted it to do. It's handling cargo, it's sending it out to the region, and eventually we're going to want cargo to go into the city as well. So we're going to want some cargo train stations in here, but I like the airport. This train idea, I think it's solid. I do. I think it's a solid idea. I think having this cutting through this district looks really cool. So I'm really pleased with that. Everything else is just sort of a necessity right now. So a lot of this is subject to change, but I like this as an idea. It just adds nicely to this sort of central transit hub that we have going on. Just this big old train station across the street. It's a really, I love this look. I love that we have this theme running through here of, you know, Metro Square and just everything that we have going. I think it looks fantastic. I'm excited to get it all connected up and working. But that's going to be something to do some other time, because that's going to do us for today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. It has been an absolute pleasure as always. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.